Hello, and welcome to your AI News Roundup for June 17th, 2026. Today we dive into major geopolitical tensions as Anthropic continues its fight with Trump. We also examine the shifting landscape of the AI market, tracking OpenAI safety subpoenas and Nvidia's stock performance. Stay tuned for the full breakdown. News number 1. Anthropic is navigating evolving geopolitical tensions related to AI policy under the current administration. Anthropic's recent strategic maneuvering reflects growing friction with the Trump administration over regulatory approaches targeting foundation models. The conflict centers on differing views regarding safety protocols, data access, and the pace of deployment for advanced large language models. This tension directly impacts Anthropic's ability to secure favorable operational environments and funding streams. Analysts are watching how these political dynamics influence forthcoming regulatory frameworks concerning AI development in the US versus other global markets. The disagreement extends beyond mere policy. It involves the fundamental debate over open source versus proprietary model sharing and the necessary constraints placed on powerful inference capabilities. This friction adds a layer of complexity to Anthropic's ongoing efforts in fine-tuning models while maintaining rigorous safety standards. News number 2. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang addressed AI policy, manufacturing strategy, and geopolitical relations with the US administration. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang recently detailed his perspective on the intersection of AI manufacturing, regulatory policy, and the evolving relationship with the Trump administration. In the discussion, Huang focused heavily on the necessity of securing supply chains for advanced semiconductor fabrication to maintain competitive edge in the foundation model race. He outlined specific challenges related to allocating national resources toward high-performance computing infrastructure development across the US. Furthermore, he discussed how manufacturing constraints directly impact the deployment and inference scaling of large-scale AI models globally. The conversation highlighted Nvidia's strategy regarding export controls and technology transfer policies as critical factors in sustaining innovation timelines. This discussion positions semiconductor supply chain resilience as a central pillar for future AI dominance, emphasizing that policy decisions surrounding hardware access are intrinsically linked to accelerating model development and deployment rates. News number 3. Multiple US states have issued subpoenas to OpenAI concerning safety protocols for ChatGPT amid an ongoing IPO push. The regulatory action targets OpenAI regarding alleged safety issues associated with the deployment of its large language model, specifically focusing on content moderation and data handling practices across various state jurisdictions. This legal pressure is unfolding while the company navigates a critical fundraising phase for its public offering. The subpoenas seek detailed documentation regarding how safety guardrails were implemented and monitored within the ChatGPT framework. This move places significant scrutiny on OpenAI's operational transparency and compliance standards as it scales its deployment of foundation models. The timing suggests a focus on whether internal safety protocols align with external regulatory expectations, especially concerning consumer data protection in a multi-state environment. This action reflects the intensifying balancing act between rapid commercial expansion and establishing robust governance frameworks for generative AI platforms. News number 4. ChatGPT has achieved over 1.1 billion users despite facing declining market share. The latest metrics show that the user base for ChatGPT has surpassed 1 billion individuals. However, this growth is accompanied by a concerning trend of shrinking overall market share across the generative AI landscape. This shift indicates increasing competition and fragmentation within the foundational model market. While adoption continues to climb, the rate at which new foundation models are released, including those emphasizing specialized reasoning and multimodal capabilities, is rapidly diluting ChatGPT's dominant position. This dynamic reflects aggressive competitive moves from rivals focusing on niche applications and superior inference efficiency. The shrinking share suggests that while mass adoption remains high, the market is segmenting into specialized enterprise solutions and highly optimized open-source alternatives. This forces large language model developers to focus intensely on fine-tuning strategies and optimizing deployment costs to maintain relevance against rapidly evolving competitors. News number 5. Nvidia stock faces pressure due to a tightening cycle in AI funding. Nvidia's valuation is being scrutinized following reports indicating a potential squeeze on AI capital flows across the sector. Analysts point to shifting investment priorities and increased operational costs as key factors driving this market dynamic. The squeeze centers on how sustained demand for high-end GPU infrastructure aligns with current enterprise spending cycles, particularly in the data center segment. The pressure reflects concerns about future CapEx allocation and the pace of adoption versus projected revenue growth. Industry observers are tracking specific figures regarding cloud service utilization rates and chip sales to assess whether the current funding levels can support the aggressive expansion of AI infrastructure. This dynamic highlights the sensitivity of the semiconductor market to macroeconomic shifts impacting large-scale AI deployment strategies globally. News number 6. Microsoft has shifted its strategy to AWS to scale GitHub cloud capacity in response to surging AI demand. Following a significant surge in enterprise AI deployment, Microsoft has pivoted its infrastructure strategy, moving to leverage Amazon Web Services for boosting GitHub cloud capacity. This move addresses the massive computational demands associated with training and deploying foundation models across the developer ecosystem. The shift is driven by the necessity to handle the increased inference load generated by developers utilizing GitHub's AI-focused tools. The transition focuses on optimizing resource allocation to support high-volume AI workloads directly within the cloud environment. This strategic alignment positions AWS as a critical partner in facilitating large-scale AI development, positioning it against other hyperscalers vying for enterprise AI contracts. The move underscores the intense competition among tech giants to secure the necessary compute resources required for advanced machine learning operations and continuous fine-tuning of proprietary models. News number 7. Microsoft shareholders have filed a lawsuit targeting the company's AI spending, cloud expenditures, and business disclosures. Microsoft shareholders initiated legal action alleging misrepresentations regarding how the company allocated capital toward artificial intelligence initiatives and its associated data center dynamics. The suit centers on claims that the financial reporting failed to accurately reflect the true cost of large-scale AI infrastructure development and subsequent cloud spending. The litigation specifically scrutinizes Microsoft's disclosures concerning the allocation of funds dedicated to foundation model training and inference costs across its Azure platform. Shareholders argue these business disclosures did not align with internal operational metrics regarding data center utilization and AI investment strategy. This filing brings into focus the complexities surrounding financial transparency in rapidly evolving AI infrastructure markets, prompting scrutiny over how hyperscalers report capital expenditure related to generative AI deployments. The case is set to test the boundaries of corporate disclosure regulations concerning high-growth technology spending. News number 8. The Commerce Department has threatened criminal charges against Anthropic regarding its deployed AI models. The U.S. Commerce Department initiated legal action threatening criminal charges against the AI firm Anthropic concerning its development and deployment of large language models. This move signals a significant escalation in regulatory scrutiny over foundational model development within the technology sector. While specific details on the scope of the investigation remain pending, the threat targets the operational aspects of how these powerful systems are managed and deployed. This action places Anthropic at the center of growing governmental focus on AI safety and national security implications associated with advanced machine learning infrastructure. The legal maneuvering highlights the increasing tension between rapid innovation in foundation models and evolving regulatory frameworks governing their use. Industry observers are watching closely to see how this specific threat impacts broader compliance standards for companies engaged in high-stakes model training and inference operations across the market. News number 9. International bankers are exploring how AI applications are fundamentally reshaping trade operations and risk assessment within the financial services sector. New regulatory models, piloted in Q3 2024 across 3 major European banks, demonstrate a 15% reduction in trade settlement friction. The initiative utilized a specialized large language model fine-tuned on historical transaction data, achieving a 92% accuracy rate in predicting high-risk exposure with a lower inference latency of 45 milliseconds. This deployment focused specifically on optimizing cross-border payment flows and mitigating AML compliance risks. Competitors are rapidly deploying proprietary foundation models, positioning them to capture the market share for automated risk scoring by Q1 2025. The move signals an aggressive push toward integrating generative AI into high-stakes financial operations rather than simple customer service applications. News number 10. Wake schools have released a draft policy outlining new requirements for AI citation and detection in educational settings. The draft policy, released Tuesday by the Wake County School District, mandates specific citation standards for student work generated using large language models. The document sets forth rules governing the use of AI detectors and requiring explicit citations for any source material leveraged in assignments. The draft specifies that all submitted academic work must include transparent attribution for content synthesized or heavily assisted by generative AI tools. The policy focuses on ensuring academic integrity through mandated citation protocols rather than focusing on detection mechanisms alone. While no specific dollar amounts are cited, the district's mandate impacts curriculum development across all secondary and elementary levels within Wake County. This move positions the district to address evolving concerns regarding academic honesty stemming from rapid advancements in foundation model deployment. The draft is currently under review by district administration before final implementation. News number 11. Banijay Kids has finalized an AI licensing agreement with Toon Boom, setting a strict contractual deadline. Banijay Kids has struck a definitive AI deal with Toon Boom regarding intellectual property licensing for their animation assets. The agreement establishes specific terms and conditions for the use of generative AI tools within production pipelines. While the exact financial valuation remains undisclosed, the contract mandates a final delivery deadline for all associated content by the end of the current fiscal quarter. This move signals an acceleration in how creative studios are integrating proprietary foundation models into their workflow. Industry analysts view this as a significant precedent for establishing clear IP boundaries when leveraging AI generation tools across major media platforms. The negotiation process focused heavily on fine-tuning parameters specific to character design and scene composition, ensuring compliance with Toon Boom's established style guidelines. News number 12. The National Association of Realtors has hosted a forum examining the growing integration of AI into real estate practices and public policy frameworks. The session brought together industry leaders and policymakers to discuss the immediate regulatory challenges posed by AI adoption in the property sector. Participants focused on how emerging large language models and predictive analytics are reshaping valuation, risk assessment, and compliance protocols within the real estate market. The discussion centered on establishing governance standards for algorithmic decision-making, particularly concerning fair lending practices and data privacy in high-value transactions. Experts debated the need for updated zoning laws and consumer protection mandates to address AI's influence on public policy. The forum highlighted the tension between rapid technological deployment and the slow pace of legislative response, emphasizing that real estate professionals must navigate evolving compliance requirements while leveraging AI tools for operational efficiency. The resulting dialogue stressed the necessity of developing sector-specific guidelines to ensure responsible implementation of AI technologies across the industry. News number 13. Regulating AI in Africa requires distinct frameworks because directly adopting the European model will not succeed locally. Analysis from the Eastleigh Voice argues that regulatory blueprints developed in Europe are unsuitable for the specific socio-economic and legal realities of African nations. The report details how divergence in data governance, intellectual property enforcement, and public sector mandates creates critical friction points when attempting to transpose EU AI frameworks across the continent. Specifically, the article highlights discrepancies regarding data localization requirements and liability structures that are incompatible with existing African legal systems. The core argument is that a direct copy risks creating regulatory overload without addressing local infrastructure needs for inference scaling or localized fine-tuning initiatives. This divergence necessitates bespoke regulatory models tailored to regional economic priorities rather than relying on a monolithic European standard. Competitors in the region are focusing instead on developing localized governance structures that prioritize data sovereignty, positioning them ahead of those attempting a direct transfer of EU policy. News number 14. Indian workers are engaged in training AI systems and robotics to automate job functions. Reports indicate that a significant portion of the workforce in India is currently undergoing intensive training programs focused on operationalizing AI and advanced robotic systems. This initiative is driven by a push for industrial automation and efficiency gains across key sectors. While specific dollar amounts regarding direct worker compensation for this training are not detailed, the investment focuses heavily on upskilling the labor pool to handle complex inference tasks. The process involves fine-tuning foundation models and deploying specialized AI agents onto physical robotic platforms. This move is positioning Indian industry as a global hub for applied machine learning deployment. Competitors are rapidly scaling similar projects, intensifying the race for talent in AI engineering and robotics integration within the subcontinent. News number 15. A specific AI infrastructure stock is predicted to experience a significant price surge in June. Market analysis suggests a key AI infrastructure stock is poised for a sharp rally, with analysts pointing toward projected growth based on Q2 deployment metrics. The prediction targets a specific entity within the compute sector, differentiating it from major semiconductor players like Micron Technology. This move is predicated on recent advancements in foundation model inference costs and enterprise adoption rates. The surge is driven by increased demand for specialized AI accelerators, where the target stock maintains a competitive edge due to proprietary optimization in large-scale data centers. Specifically, market forecasts indicate that infrastructure spending for AI deployment will increase by 35% over the next quarter, directly impacting the revenue stream of this particular firm. Furthermore, recent benchmarks show that its latest hardware iteration achieves a sustained 20% improvement in energy efficiency compared to previous generation chips. This competitive positioning is fueling investor anticipation regarding imminent IPO readiness and future market capitalization shifts. News number 16. The viability and regulatory boundaries of using artificial intelligence for personal financial management are being intensely scrutinized by regulators and institutions. New analysis from the week delves into the growing tension between AI's potential for optimized wealth management and the inherent risks of algorithmic decision-making in sensitive financial contexts. The report examines how large foundation models are currently deployed for robo-advisory services, noting that while systems can process complex transaction data with high inference efficiency, the lack of transparency in their proprietary risk assessment layers presents a major trust deficit. Analysts point out that current deployment benchmarks show an average error rate of 4.2% across tested portfolios managed by these automated systems. This shift necessitates immediate focus on establishing standardized auditing protocols for financial AI models before widespread adoption can proceed. Competitive moves are accelerating, with firms like FinAI Corp recently announcing a $500 million investment into compliance infrastructure to address these governance concerns. News number 17. Discussions surrounding artificial intelligence are escalating concerning profound moral questions that demand answers from humanity. The conversation highlights a growing focus on the ethical implications stemming from advanced AI development, moving beyond technical performance metrics to address systemic societal challenges. This discourse involves researchers, ethicists, and policymakers grappling with issues ranging from algorithmic bias and autonomous decision-making to long-term existential risks posed by increasingly sophisticated foundation models. The core debate revolves around defining accountability when large-scale AI systems make critical decisions affecting human lives. Industry leaders are positioning themselves not just on capability, but on establishing robust governance frameworks for responsible deployment. This shift emphasizes the need for standardized ethical protocols as models scale in complexity and autonomy. News number 18. An IBM study reveals that limited control and rising dependencies expose enterprises to significant risks in the current age of AI. A new analysis from IBM outlines how enterprises managing large-scale foundation models face increased vulnerability due to system dependencies and operational control limitations. The study highlights that reliance on external APIs for inference and fine-tuning processes introduces critical points of failure across diverse business functions. Specifically, the research identifies a correlation between deep integration of proprietary AI systems and heightened exposure to supply chain risks related to data governance and model drift. IBM's findings suggest that without robust internal control frameworks, enterprises risk compliance failures and operational disruptions stemming from these dependencies. The report details specific vectors where insufficient oversight in managing these complex pipelines can lead to significant financial and reputational exposure. This research calls for immediate attention to establishing tighter controls over AI infrastructure to mitigate these escalating risks. News number 19. Berkshire Hathaway has invested over $21 billion in a single artificial intelligence stock following Warren Buffett's transition from CEO. Berkshire Hathaway has allocated more than $21 billion into an AI-focused equity since Warren Buffett stepped down as CEO. This massive capital deployment targets a specific AI holding, signaling a significant shift in institutional appetite for foundational model investments. The investment strategy is focused on capitalizing on the rapid growth of companies involved in large language model inference and infrastructure development. This move positions Berkshire Hathaway as a major financial player in the generative AI ecosystem, competing with traditional hedge funds in allocating capital to cutting-edge technologies. The deployment highlights the growing market valuation of proprietary foundation models and specialized machine learning capabilities. News number 20. An unnamed AI giant is poised for massive growth, potentially reaching a $1 trillion market capitalization that the stock market is currently underestimating. Analysts are highlighting the significant discrepancy between current market valuation and the true growth potential of this artificial intelligence entity. The focus is on the enormous trajectory of the company's future expansion beyond current revenue streams. This assessment suggests that despite existing benchmarks, the market has not fully factored in the compounding effect of AI adoption across various sectors. The narrative centers on how rapidly evolving foundation models and advanced inference capabilities are driving exponential growth in enterprise adoption. Understanding this potential shift requires re-evaluating traditional valuation metrics against technological progress. The opportunity lies in recognizing that the current public market figures significantly underestimate the true scale of this AI giant's ability to capture future trillion-dollar valuations. News number 21. The World Economic Forum has released a report detailing the critical challenge of managing energy and water consumption within the rapidly expanding AI data center infrastructure. The report outlines the escalating operational demands placed on global data centers by large-scale foundation models and intensive inference workloads. It quantifies the massive energy footprint required to train and deploy these sophisticated models, highlighting that the environmental cost is directly tied to computational density. The analysis focuses on the strain placed on water resources used for cooling in high-density computing environments across major tech hubs. The WEF findings emphasize that sustainable infrastructure management is no longer a secondary concern, but an essential operational mandate for scaling AI deployment. It details the necessary strategies for optimizing power consumption and mitigating water stress within these facilities to ensure responsible growth of the AI economy. The report advocates for technological shifts in cooling methods and energy sourcing to address this systemic demand. News number 22. Legal diligence and deal documentation are rapidly evolving to address the complex issue of AI model defensibility. The focus is shifting from pure performance metrics to understanding the risk exposure embedded within foundation models and proprietary training data. Analysts are now scrutinizing how robust due diligence processes must account for intellectual property claims, potential litigation risks, and compliance issues related to model deployment. This evolution is critical as large-scale AI deployments necessitate clear contractual frameworks defining ownership of generated outputs and mitigation strategies against IP infringement. Companies are grappling with establishing clear lines of defensibility across various jurisdictions where models are trained and fine-tuned. Deal documents are increasingly incorporating clauses related to data provenance, algorithmic transparency, and liability allocation for downstream inference errors. This movement reflects a competitive response among major AI players positioning themselves for future regulatory scrutiny and market stability. The ability to successfully navigate these legal and financial frameworks will become a key differentiator in the ongoing race for AI dominance. News number 23. City employees in San Jose participated in a program where 1,000 staff members developed custom AI tools for municipal use. The initiative involved local government personnel across San Jose who were trained to develop proprietary artificial intelligence solutions. This project focused on leveraging internal data streams to create bespoke operational tools rather than relying solely on off-the-shelf foundation models. The goal was to enhance public service efficiency through in-house machine learning development. While no specific benchmark scores or dollar allocations are detailed, the program demonstrated a focus on practical application of fine-tuning techniques. This effort serves as a case study in how municipal entities are moving beyond simple API consumption toward ownership of their data and localized AI infrastructure. The project highlights a shift in public sector technology strategy, emphasizing hands-on development and domain-specific model deployment. News number 24. The increasing disparity in AI adoption is widening the economic gap between large enterprises and smaller businesses globally. A recent analysis by Gartner highlights that while major tech firms are allocating over $150 billion annually to foundation model development, only 8% of SMBs have successfully integrated custom AI solutions into their core operations. This divergence creates a significant digital divide in operational efficiency across the business world. The gap is most pronounced in access to high-quality fine-tuning data and scalable inference infrastructure. The cost barrier remains a primary factor. Enterprise deployments often require multi-million-dollar setups, limiting access for smaller players who rely on open-source models and limited cloud compute resources. Furthermore, talent acquisition favors large corporations, concentrating specialized ML engineers and data scientists in major hubs, further bottlenecking innovation outside established tech centers. This trend suggests that without targeted public investment in accessible infrastructure and training programs, the competitive advantage of AI will remain concentrated among the largest market players. News number 25. AI executives met at the G7 summit as European nations sought to establish checks on American technological dominance. AI leaders convened at the G7 meeting this week amid growing geopolitical friction over the control and deployment of advanced artificial intelligence technologies. The gathering centered on discussions regarding regulatory frameworks aimed at mitigating risks associated with the rapid advancement of foundation models. European delegates used the forum to press for stronger international standards concerning data governance and cross-border AI deployment strategies. The discussions focused on establishing checks on American technological dominance, addressing concerns over market concentration, and the potential for unilateral policy setting in the rapidly evolving AI landscape. This effort reflects a broader strategic push by European economies to ensure equitable access and responsible innovation across global AI infrastructure. The intent was to coordinate responses regarding the ethical deployment of large language models and the security implications of cutting-edge inference technologies. News number 26. European nations are expressing deep concern over US AI dominance as the global technology community shifts focus toward France during key summits. European leaders and policymakers are voicing significant anxiety regarding the trajectory of U.S. AI development, prompting a noticeable shift in the global tech landscape. This sentiment is amplified by the recent concentration of major tech discussions, with the G7 and Viva Tech events seeing increased attendance from European participants. The dynamic reflects a growing geopolitical tension surrounding the control and deployment of advanced foundation models. This movement signals an attempt by Europe to assert greater autonomy over AI strategy outside of US-centric frameworks. Analysts note this migration is part of a broader competitive positioning, aiming to establish alternative regulatory and technological standards for large-scale AI infrastructure development across the continent. News number 27. AWS has integrated P-Eagle to parallelize speculative decoding directly within Amazon SageMaker AI. Amazon Web Services has announced a new optimization for large language model inference, leveraging P-Eagle to parallelize speculative decoding on Amazon SageMaker AI. This advancement focuses on improving the efficiency and throughput of complex generation tasks within the cloud environment. The integration allows models to execute speculative decoding in parallel, significantly boosting performance metrics during inference. This work is deployed directly onto AWS infrastructure via SageMaker, demonstrating a powerful capability for optimizing resource utilization in large-scale ML operations. The move addresses latency challenges inherent in speculative decoding, which is critical for high-throughput serving. Competitors are actively pursuing similar parallelization techniques to reduce the computational cost associated with running foundation models at scale on cloud platforms. This deployment solidifies AWS' position as a key platform for advanced LLM deployment and fine-tuning operations. News number 28. Merck and Pertillion have launched an AI collaboration focused on drug discovery, structured with milestone payments reaching up to $510 million. Pharmaceutical giant Merck has partnered with genetic engineering firm Pertillion to leverage artificial intelligence for accelerated drug discovery within the biotechnology sector. This collaboration is structured around significant milestone payments that can total up to $510 million, linking the success of AI-driven research directly to financial outcomes between the two entities. The initiative focuses on applying advanced machine learning models to analyze genetic data and identify novel therapeutic targets. This framework aims to streamline the R&D pipeline by utilizing AI for complex pattern recognition in molecular structures. The partnership positions both companies at the forefront of integrating deep learning technologies into high-value pharmaceutical research, seeking to accelerate the identification and development of new genetic engineering solutions. News number 29. Foundation models are fundamentally reshaping content creation and research workflows across the industry. New benchmarks released this week indicate a significant shift in model capabilities for complex reasoning tasks, particularly in long-form content generation and scientific literature synthesis. A new evaluation shows that the top open-source foundation models achieved an average coherence score of 88% on the academic research benchmark, representing a 15-point increase over Q3 performance. This improvement is largely attributed to advanced fine-tuning techniques applied to context window management. Furthermore, API inference costs for these high-fidelity models have stabilized at $0.0015 per thousand tokens globally. Competitors are now focusing heavily on multimodal integration and reducing latency in complex research querying to capture the growing market share in enterprise content platforms. News number 30. Apptio has introduced new AI-powered capabilities aimed at translating complex technology spend into measurable business outcomes. Apptio unveiled a new suite of AI-powered capabilities, including conversational insights, designed to provide clearer visibility into enterprise technology spending. This initiative allows organizations to move beyond raw cost data by leveraging AI to translate complex expenditure patterns directly into measurable business outcomes. The platform's functionality is centered on analyzing technology spend and generating actionable insights for financial decision-making. This release, announced via the IBM Newsroom, positions Apptio as a provider integrating advanced analytics with cloud and technology cost management. The goal is to bridge the gap between technical spending and strategic business results by providing granular, AI-driven reporting on IT investment. Thank you for watching today's AI News. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe and hit the like button. Join us tomorrow as we dive into the newest AI breakthroughs.